The advice and opinions expressed by the host of Autism Live and her guests are meant solely as suggestion and should not be in any way construed as child-specific advice. Any choices you make in determining your child's treatment are completely at your own discretion.
That's our jargon for the day, and you can find our jargon playlist on YouTube. But my guest today, and I'm just gonna talk about her for a second. She's an amazing woman, an amazing mom, an amazing writer. I'm holding in my hands her book, A Real Boy, which was the game changer for us. This, I often refer to it as my Bible. I just read it. This is like the 12th copy that I've had of it because I ruined a couple of copies because they got wet because I took them in the rain. I took one in the bathtub and by accident, dumped it in the bathtub and was sick about it. But thank goodness I could buy another one. And then I have given away more copies of this book than I've given away of my own book. What does that say to you? But it was amazing and to read, and it really set me on a path. If you've heard me tell the Hank story, she talks in here repeatedly about this amazing person who worked on her team, Hank, and how I'm going to call Hank and ask him, I'm going to Hank this. And when I came to CARD, all I wanted to do was meet Hank because it seemed like all the good things in life came from Hank. And they told me, Hank doesn't work at this center. And it was always this thing about, I'm never going to meet Hank. It's never going to happen. And then the day that I finally did meet Hank, I lost my mind. It was like meeting Bono. And I cried and I had to sit down and I was like, you're Hank, you're my Hank. And everybody around us thought that I had lost my mind. Hank is actually here working in the other office. And I wanted to pull him in, but he's in a meeting. And he is everything that she said he is. And, I just love him too. But she's going to be joining us right now. Her name is Christina Adams. This was only the first book, and now there are subsequent books. And Camel Crazy is the book that's driving everybody crazy right now, and you're traveling all over the world, and we're going to get to all of that. But Christina, first of all, good morning, and thank you for being here.
Good morning, Shannon and everyone. I'm all so happy to be here today. I love being on the show, and today I just feel extra happy because I see Shannon and everyone.
Well, I am so extra happy to have you here. I also want people to know that you did a video series for us, that there's a playlist on our YouTube channel that was called Autism and Beyond, and that it's a lot of tips and topics that are prevalent in, I think, most parents' lives, especially if you have a special needs kiddo, and that you give your expert advice. They're really lovely. You just were so wonderful to do that for us. So that's Autism and Beyond on our YouTube channel. There's a playlist that you guys can go check. How long ago was this book published, Christina?
Shannon, that came out Mother's Day 2005, wow. And there's still people that don't know the basic information in it.
Well, I think it still stands up. And this morning, I just opened it up and read a thing, and it's sort of like when you see something from your past and go, oh, this is what started me. I read it this morning on the podcast, that it was a paragraph about sugar. And people who watch the show know I'm so adamant about sugar is not for our kids. But I learned so much from you. I'm still learning from you. And I do fangirl when I'm around you. but I'm so proud to consider you a friend. I'm so proud to, as I said, have been in your house, had my shoes underneath your dining room table, and have my son leave his lunchbox in your refrigerator. That was such an honor.
You do me great honor, but the honor is mine as well. Shannon, you are a really amazing person, and we all love you. There's no other way to feel about Shannon.
Well, that's just craziness. But like I said, this was only the first book. And just briefly tell people how this book came to be and what your mission was with this book.
Well, of course, like most of us, I never intended to have a mission, anything to do with autism. So as one does, one has to pivot to find out what you've got to do next in life. So, I had a career behind me working at the Pentagon and working aerospace and other things. And then I got a master's degree in writing. I wanted to write a book. I was doing my writing. Things were going great. Boom, autism diagnosis comes, 2.9 in clinical terms, almost 3 years old. That's, of course, after getting kicked out of, daycares and biting me all the time and all this. But just a beautiful child, beautiful child. So, of course, I had to do anything I could for my son. So I just stopped in my tracks doing everything that I had been doing, pivoted to autism, met some women in my neighborhood who were ahead of me, way ahead, and they were just like tigers. Do this, do this, do this. Don't waste time doing this. Start this diet, boom. Get ABA, boom. Call card, boom. So I did all that, and within 3 weeks, I'd taken away the dairy right away, and within 3 weeks, his skin started clearing up and he started talking. And so that's when I realized cow milk was a big problem. The other layers of diet I also addressed. I played with all of those, all of the typical casein-free, gluten-free things. But, drilling down on sugar, yeast, all these things, they're interconnected. So I started writing pieces. I started speaking because I realized a lot of people don't have the skills to tackle this. I didn't think I had the skills. I'll tell you what, when I looked at all that algebra looking language with the ABA check marks and this and that, I just despaired. When I read science, I was just like despaired. Now look at me. So it's ridiculous what you can do when you have to. So basically I thought nobody is telling this story, the whole story. There had been a book about diet, there had been a book about ABA, but there was no book telling like the whole story. I said, I want to be that person. So I wrote a memoir, which is our personal journey. And these things are important for us autism families or for people in general. And we want to know what other people are feeling and doing. This is how we identify with it. This is how we learn. So I wrote that memoir, which I wanted to use my literary skills, and I was able to do that. But I put a lot of practical information in it. So then it was published, and that was really, really good. And it went into 5 printings, and, it seems to really be going on. And there's even talk about getting it translated into other languages right now. So at any rate, some people they still message me a lot about other things. And sometimes I say, you're still at the stage where you could use this book. But still, a lot of people can use it, even if they're not in that early intervention stage. So that was a real boy. And then ever since then, became a single mom, started life over. And then a huge adventure began had to do with camels.
Yeah, it was like phase 2. So you guys were card clients, and I guess I didn't realize, sometimes it's like, duh, but it's so funny because your book was the one that I read, I just always assumed that if you were doing ABA, you were also doing some biomedical. For me, that was just the duh. Of course, you would look at the whole child because you presented that so eloquently, and it just made sense to me. It was only in the intervening years that I realized, and now especially, there are people who are like, well, they're doing ABA or they're doing biomedical, and it's the rare group of people that are marrying the two together and getting how amazing that can be, that if you're looking at the whole child, you really need to take care of the whole child. But you did the whole ABA route. You were in your investigating biomedical. Your son graduated from his ABA program, and then you had this sort of amazing epiphany that led to chapter, I don't know what number you're on, but this new chapter in your life, and which also for years we bugged you for the second book. And finally, now it's like the second book's been here for a while, and that's Camel Crazy. And my copy of it, I must have lent to somebody because I thought I had one here. Can you hold it up so people can see what the cover looks like?
Yes, I've got it. It's right here. Here we go. Camel Crazy. A quest for miracles in the mysterious world of camels.
Okay, so outline for us how this book came about and why it was necessary to write this book. Because people, whenever we do a show with you, people go crazy and write in and they want more information about this. But they really need to get the book, yeah?
They do, and I'll tell you why. Believe me, I'm not in this to sell books or anything. I want to sell books, but it's because it helps people.
Yeah.
And so basically, the book itself is a really good read. It's entertaining. I want to make it entertaining. People don't learn science and, facts unless you've got something fascinating or interesting to bring them along on the story. So that is really fun. I think it's a fun book. It's got some drama and fun stuff in it. You'll meet amazing people.
You're an amazing writer, and you have an amazing life.
Can you hear me still?
I'm sorry, I interrupted you. I said you're an amazing writer and you have an amazing life. So everything that you write is interesting. I don't know why somebody's not doing a reality show with you as the main thing of it, Christina, because the life you lead is not like anybody else's I know.
It is definitely becoming more unique as the years pass. But just remember, this book has a user's guide in the back. It tells you, how much do I give camel milk? How long do I give it? How do I give it? How for what health conditions? Where do I get it? How do I store it? This is the information that a lot of autism families want. And so I have it all for you right there in a paperback book that doesn't cost that much.
Amazing. So tell us just the beginning of how the whole idea of camel milk, and I know you've told it before on the show, but how this idea came to you, and then we're going to get into what you've been doing of late, because it's really developed into this other thing, this other life, that you are an expert in this field, and there's a high demand for you around the world. But tell us how the kernel started.
I was newly separated. I was going to be a single mom of a child with autism, which is a very frightening fate, and I knew it at the time. So that's why I tried not to be for so long. But it had happened, and I was at a children's book fair in Orange County, California. Saw a guy with a camel. My kid was reading a book, so I was bored. I was nosy. I was lonely. I went over and looked at the camel, and I was like, whatever this camel's doing here, I don't know. No kids are riding this camel. So I saw a guy, it looked like it might belong to him, and went and talked to him. And he said he's selling soap and lotion from camel milk. And then I said, what else do they do with the milk? So that's a question that has changed pretty much everything. And that man, who turned out to be Gil Riegler of Oasis Camel Dairy right here in California, but then I didn't know him, he said they use it in hospitals in the Middle East because it's thought to be non-allergenic, maybe like human milk. So I thought, boom, that's my light bulb moment. That's when I thought it might help reboot my son's immune system, which was always connected to his autism symptoms. I knew that by then because of the food, and he was a very well-documented child. You give him some kind of food, he's going to react if it's not right for him. And he could even say, like when he got cow milk, he said, Mom, it feels like there's dirt in my brain. So I searched for that milk, couldn't find it anywhere. Finally managed to import it from the Bedouins in the desert in the Middle East. Flew it in, raw, frozen bottles of milk. I did get government permission, gave it to him, an unbelievable overnight improvement, and just shocking. So overall, 30% symptom improvement because of camel milk. And then after that, I wrote, after that, I kept researching and everything and chasing down camels. And I realized nobody knows anything about camels in this country except a few people. But I thought it was a topic that was way underexplored, and I was right. So I just kept chasing them down, learning about their incredible properties, and learning more about the milk. And so then a couple years later, Amish men in America started milking camels. Yes, that's a real sentence. And they're great guys. So I got that milk. It worked the same way in my son. So he's the first patient globally to show it was the milk from 2 entirely different continents that had the effect. So it showed it wasn't the breed, the feed, the magic herbs they eat in the desert. It was the camel itself that was the delivery mechanism. So I wrote a article. It went viral. It's kicked off a camel milk movement around the world. There'd always been camel milk and used for health issues and diseases by traditional people, but not really autism. So then year came by, I wrote a science article. That got the attention of scientists, and I came on Autism-Live for that. So that really helped bring it to the attention of science. That article's been cited maybe anywhere but 20 to 31 times. I never know what science stats to believe. But that article had quite a big effect on the science development, I would like to say. Definitely, I think it contributed. So then I just kept researching, and thousands of kids are using the milk now. So I have a natural, database to draw from. I don't keep a formal database, but I hear from all kinds of people. So thousands of kids are using it around the world now. It's amazing. New dairies are springing up. I mean, I hear from dairies in, China, Australia, Mongolia, India, like everywhere. India, it's all over. So I'm very busy with that, but it's a good thing, and I want to see it develop. And anyway,
you make it sound like it's all easy, but this is another reason why you guys need to get the book and hear the story. And somebody needs to do the movie or the reality show, because you literally were the first, correct me if I'm wrong here, but you were the first person to, as a person, to import that camel milk. And the first time you did it, isn't there the story about that they took and smashed all the bottles in New York and didn't allow you to have them?
I'm assuming I don't know if they smashed them or not because they were in plastic, but they did take them from somebody who was bringing it for me. It was a Pakistani friend, and he offered to bring it for me, and he brought it in, but they threw it away at that place. But then I learned to do it the smart way. I got a doctor's letter. I had a small amount brought to me, and then I started stockpiling that milk and holding those bottles of milk frozen in my hands from, at that time, to me, I had no concept of Bedouin other than somebody wearing like something wrapped around them in the desert. Yeah. So I was like, wow. Yeah. And now, of course, I know many of them.
Now you go out into the desert and meet them, which is what we're going to talk about in just a second here. But it's kind of amazing because it's not just that. Now, when we first started talking about this, there was a whole big deal about how were people going to get the camel milk. And I've seen it at Whole Foods now. I don't know that that's necessarily the camel milk that we want, and you can tell us whether it is or it isn't. But we cannot dance around this. You created a movement around the world, and you are considered the expert of note, and countries ask you to come and speak, and organizations ask you to come and speak. So you've been touring around the world. I always love to check in with you and see where you are and what have you done. Do you want to start giving us the recent travel log and what you were doing? Should we start with that?
I would love to do that. And I've, got a couple of fun things to say up at the top too. Okay. That'll be interesting. So, and I like to do this because I would like people to know, I know how difficult it is to to have the life of a parent. I have lived it beyond. I have done it. So, anything that gives us hope for our future, I feel like I'd like to contribute to that.
There you go. And I just love your spirit. Okay, so we're looking at the Journal of Camel Practice and Research. Tell us about why we're looking at that, Christina.
We're looking at such a esteemed publication here on the Autism channel because this is my new science publication, co-authored with Dr. T.K. Galat, probably one of the world's most preeminent, probably about it, he is one of the world's most preeminent camel surgeons and veterinarians in India. So we co-authored this, and it is about, and I have a copy here. Yeah, it's basically camel milk and other dietary treatments in autism. So we have gathered all the science, put it all together, not just about camel milk, but about the role of diet in autism as a treatment. There's been very little data traditionally, but there's more starting to come out. But the goal of this was to make a chain and show how diet impacts all these scientific factors in autism, oxidative stress, even markers in like cerebrospinal fluid, it goes on and on. But this is a thing where we chained and showed, okay, this is how this camel milk and then other issues of diet may work in ameliorating the symptoms of autism and to encourage more research. So this just came out, and I'm very pleased to have done that.
Amazing. Congratulations. We're so proud of you. And here you are holding your book. Tell us about this gentleman.
Okay, so this is a fun thing. We're gonna talk about my trip to Mongolia in a minute, but I did just go to Mongolia, and I was meeting herders and doing things which I'll tell you about shortly. But the most wonderful thing happened. So this is Mr. Boldabatar. He is the esteemed publisher and founder of NEPCO, one of the top publishing companies in Mongolia. Had a meeting with him, and he's going to bring out Camel Crazy in Mongolian next year.
Amazing. Amazing. Okay, so you went on this trip, and we're going to get to all, but tell us where we started.
So where we started was I had to go out of the country for a couple reasons. Sometimes, I go out for business reasons or family reasons or whatever. So went to Portugal to get started, but no, that was close to Morocco, and so I'd always wanted to visit Morocco. So then here's Morocco. So let's start with this incredible mosque. It's very famous. This is in the city of Casablanca. It's a huge tourist landmark, and it is named after one of the kings, and it is a beautiful place, and people dive off and have fun there in the water. So this is one of my first stops in Casablanca, which is, of course, everybody knows that name from that World War II movie, what is it called? It's the most famous one. Anyway, Rick's.
Are you on a boat? Are you on the water taking this picture?
No, I'm actually on a little promenade nearby.
Okay.
And it's a really beautiful place. So Casablanca is a very big, bustling city. So I started out there, but then I was invited to speak at the American Women's Club of Casablanca, which is a great bunch of women. They're amazing, very much movers and shakers. And so if we go to the next picture, I can show you that. So here I am giving a talk. My PowerPoint, we couldn't get it to work, so I have to do it all on the fly, but that was fine. Everyone really loved the story. And so then if we had a lot of women there, and they were very excited. So then this is the Agafay Desert, which is then you go out to Marrakesh, which I went is a very famous city, but the Agafay Desert is out there. So I met camel herding people. I asked about what they use the camels for, the state of the camels. There are tourists nearby that use them. And then I learned more about the, there's a term called Berber, but then there's also Amazigh people. So a lot of these people are the traditional people that take care of camels. So one of them tied that scarf on me, and that was quite a nice thing for him to do. And then that dress is called actually Tuareg blue. The color is identified with the Tuareg nomadic peoples, and I know some Tuareg folks, so it was really cool to get to wear that beautiful color.
It's a beautiful color, my goodness. Mm-hmm. And so that camel that was behind you, that's not a camel that you were riding, it was just a camel that was there.
I was just hanging out with the guys. I didn't ride then. But now this is also at the Women's Club of Casablanca. And then this color is known as Yves Saint Laurent blue because that famous French fashion designer lived there for a long time and has a museum there now that he's passed on. But that color, I saw that first, then I saw the Tuareg blue and I'm like, wonder where the idea came from. Now, I don't know, but it just made me think of the Tuareg blue, but that beautiful Yves Saint Laurent blue at the Churchill Club in Casablanca.
I am loving that outfit. Is that a two-piece?
Okay, that's a two-piece. It's made in India, but I grabbed it off of a lady selling it on the beach in Portugal because I was desperate. I didn't pack much, and I was like, I got to have something that looks somewhat dressy for this. So, India via Portugal to Morocco. To Morocco. That's how that happened.
Amazing. You always have such an amazing style, but absolutely amazing. Okay, now it looks like you're at a meat vendor.
So, of course, when you go to these cities that have been around forever, they have medinas and souks. And, these are places you go in, they're old, winding streets, cobblestone streets, and there's always a variety of merchants. Me, of course, I love to see what's out there. I'm into food and all these things. But then I always look for the camels. So this is a camel butcher. I know some people might find it a little difficult to look at. However, this has been used as a meat source in many countries for centuries, and it still is. So, I ask them always, like, what do you hear about the meat, the milk, the fat? So I always learn more information on what the traditional uses of these are. The hump fat, which you'll see a picture there kind of cut into pieces. Actually, I ate a piece of it, not this one, but another vendor. I was like, that's a thing. So I did eat it. I didn't have any problem, but I am careful generally. However, so they tell me the hump fat, is used for like rheumatoid arthritis, this, that, and the other.
Really?
The meat is used for many things medicinally, and they have just so many traditional uses, and they're very friendly people. So I just had a great time there in the Medina and Casablanca.
I'm such a 4-year-old. I thought the humps were filled with water, but there's some fat in there too, probably to hold it up.
I think we all think that. We all assume that, but they're actually fat. And also the hump is sometimes an indicator of the camel's health. Now, they can be floppy, they can be tall, they can be small, big, but sometimes if they're not doing so great, you can see the hump will reflect some of that. Now that's where you start getting to that veterinary science thing that I have an overlap into now.
Yeah, I guess so. Is it the next picture that we see the hump fat, or is that coming? Oh, no. Okay, tell us about this.
No, this is actually what happened also in this great trip to Morocco. So this is King Mohammed VI's portrait. His Highness has I think made a grant or authorized the building of an autism center, which is fantastic in Rabat, which is a very important city in Morocco. So here I am with Madame Afan. She is an amazing woman. She is running this brand new autism center. It wasn't even open when I was there this summer. It was beautiful, not open yet. So I got a pre-opening tour. And so let's go ahead and we can take a little look of what they do here.
Okay.
So this is Madame Afan. That's her friend up on the wall. The friend has passed away, but she was an amazing woman who, did so much for autism. So part of this center is inspired by her work. So we met, and then we started getting the tour, and I'll show you.
There's that beautiful blue again. Ooh, look at that.
So this is meant to resemble a typical Moroccan household. The people with autism that come here, they're going to be all ages, and they're going to get so many services, you can't even believe it. So they come and they can learn how to like come in, entertain, how to have proper behavior, how all the things you would expect to do in company when you're having someone to your home.
All
And
those
isn't that
social
pretty?
skills, yeah.
Now, this is for the kids who want to use toys and, it's not exactly a peck, but, the top picture, but it's something they need to know. So that's a tagine. So, of course, you have the big round dish. It's a traditional cooking method in Morocco. And you put, whatever you're going to have in there and kind of pile it up. You put the steamer on and you cook it, and that's what they eat a lot, especially on Fridays. So they wanted, it would be like us, like seeing a plate of, spaghetti and meatballs or roast chicken. It's one of the normal foods. So they learn to identify, through various methods like ABA and other things, these kind of objects.
I love it. I love it.
Now they have so many things there. I don't have all time for all the pictures, but they have a music therapy room, and a lot of the rooms are padded. So in case of, somebody having a frustration level and maybe having a little bit of, acting out from that frustration or whatever's happening, it keeps everyone safe. So they have the beautiful padded rooms, and then they have music therapy. They have so many other therapies, but the equipment was great in there, piano, all kinds of things.
Awesome. Okay.
So I actually then also had a speaking engagement at a university. What an amazing group of people. So I gave my PowerPoint where I talk about all these things. And then these are the people that attended. They're mostly associated with the university. And they were just a very gracious group. So then I also put in some vacation time in here. So this is me meeting a Bedouin, or probably, Berber's more, correct term for this country. So at any rate, we had a really good time talking, and I asked him about his use of camel meat and camel milk in history. And he told me that the hair, camel hair, if you want to stop bleeding, like if your nose is bleeding or something, you take camel hair and you put it on fire a little bit, singe it, and then you breathe the smoke, and it will stop the bleeding. So that was a new one for me.
That's interesting. And when you say that you were talking to him, did you have a translator, or did he speak English? What was the story there?
Sometimes I've learned to actually, I don't speak all these different languages. I have a few words in some languages, but basically it's amazing how much you can do with gestures, sign languages, and a few key words.
Wow.
And so we had a pretty good conversation. I might have had somebody translate a little bit, but I think it was just me and my husband.
Wow.
So somehow we made it work.
Amazing. Okay. So talk to us about this.
So I went to this big book fair in Morocco, and it's called Salon du Livre, and it is the book fair, one of the major book fairs for the Middle East and North Africa. So that was very exciting, and I had discussions about, translating my books, so we'll see what happens with that. Cool. But to go to this massive book fair and see all the books that are for that region, I mean, it's very sophisticated, it's amazing, and they have, great resources.
Awesome.
So here's at another city. I lost track of which one. I went to several cities in Morocco and the mountains too. But I found this. I'm always going to the souks and the markets, seeing what I could learn. So this is dried camel meat in like the fat. Wow. And so it's like, imagine some jerky that you would preserve in fat so that you can, just thaw it and just melt it and take it out and eat it as you want. It's a method of preservation, and then they sell it along with the milk.
I'm a vegan, so that's not my cup of tea, but okay.
And in desert countries or other countries, they have to live off what they've got. So this is a way that, we kind of see like, well, if you live in a place where you're limited as to what you can get, you got to use what you
stay
have.
Alive.
So this is just a beautiful picture from a souk, from a Medina, where you go in and all the markets and everything. I mean, it's super beautiful and colorful.
Are these olives
and all these things.
Are these olives, Christina?
Olives.
I love olives. Okay.
Okay, so look away, Shannon, but these are camel kebabs. I'm always trying different foods. And of course, camel meat is used as a very important meat in many parts of the world. And it also is kind of lower in, some of the bad things and better in the good things. Very good source of a lot of vitamins. And it was good. So
what's
there
it
we have
taste like? What's the closest relation to it? Is it like lamb?
Just like a beef kebab. If you go to like, kubita is the name of like a Persian, meat kebab made out of ground beef. It's just like that. Just happens to be a little leaner and delicious.
All right.
So this I found in the Sahara Desert, a place called Dakhla. It's the gateway to the Sahara Desert, Western Sahara, which is really not far from Mauritania. So anyway, North Africa, way, way, way out in the desert. I didn't know this place existed before I went there. So I found this camel hump fat mixed with some menthol type of cream. And boy, that stuff's pretty good. And it actually works. And I gave it to a friend the other day and she rubbed it on her shoulder. And then she said, I don't know what happened, but the next day her shoulder felt better from that.
Amazing.
So yeah, then this is in the Sahara Desert. So I went way up to this place called the Dakhla Peninsula, and it's in Western Sahara. And it is got a lot of camels and a lot of sand. And I had the great opportunity of meeting a Bedouin, a Berber person there. And he's an amazing local leader. And he took us out to see his camels. And so this was a wonderful time. And there I'm wearing this necklace that I got. This is also made by a Tuareg community. It's called Desert Agate. And then they're known for their silver work. Their families live on making jewelry and their camels and all these things for centuries. And so that's why I like to support them with buying jewelry when I'm there. So yeah, here's the great gentleman who's a very esteemed camel person. And he was kind enough to put his arm around me like this in his cloak. And so I was told that means you're under his protection now. So I felt pretty safe when I was there.
Those bright, beautiful colors, amazing.
Yeah. And so this is a little souk I went to, and they opened it for me, even though it was Eid, which is a important religious festival for the Islamic faith. So they opened it up and had a little shopping tour. And so this is an outfit that the Sahrawi ladies wear. They take this beautiful fabric, often it's made in Mauritania, these beautiful hand-dyed fabrics, and they know how to wrap it just perfectly. So it protects them when it's, blowing sand and all that, but it's very graceful and elegant. So they insisted I try one on, and of course I brought it home with me.
Beautiful.
So then came home back to California and Tennessee and some stateside places, and then took off for an entirely different place, Mongolia. So Mongolia, it was wonderful because this amazing company, Solid Partners, this is Send and then Alex, they are the partners in Solid Partners. They are doing a camel dairy here in Mongolia. And they have worked very hard. So you can see pictures of their camel dairy. I went to their offices. We had a discussion, and then they took me out, and I'll show you where we went.
Okay. Mongolia fascinates me. I have to tell you, when I was a teen and in my 20s, I did a lot of improv work. And I had a character whose name was Doris Magnus that I would do. And Doris was, because when I was a kid, we would always talk about Inner Mongolia and Outer Mongolia. So Doris was from Outer Mongolia.
Because
I was like, what's the delineation between inner and outer?
Believe it or not.
So were you in inner or outer?
Well, I'm no historian. I've read this, but basically, inner is considered as to be, I think, Chinese at the moment or under Chinese. I'm not a geopolitical expert, so if I'm saying something wrong. Okay. But outer is now, I think, just Mongolia. This is what I think, because they became independent of communist rule in the early 90s. And so they are, I believe, a democracy. And so it's a great country. They've really made a lot of progress in a short time. They have a lot of the population is still nomadic. Right now, there are 180,000 nomadic families, and they keep around 65 million livestock in this country, and they are camels, sheep, yak, goats.
It's a lot of milk.
It's amazing. A lot of milk, millions of tons of milk, and then they also move 4 to 12 times a year. So I was able to go out with these wonderful nomadic people, and I did the similar kind of research and recording like I do. And it's funny how they use the milk medicinally the same way that people in other continents do without ever having any contact with them.
Wow.
So let's show you some great pictures.
Yeah, here we go.
So Solid Partners is making a camel milk factory and a farm, so they can make powdered camel milk and liquid camel milk. So they were showing me the factory there. I got a nice tour of it. So it's just new. So they are about to start operating it sometime. They're working on the milking right now.
It looks very clean, which is how we want it to look.
Yes, it was very clean and pristine.
Yeah.
So then before we went out and saw the farms, I did this speaking event in Ulaanbaatar, which is the capital city. And it wasn't public or anything. They just brought a bunch of autism families here. And boy, did we have a turnout for like a Saturday morning in a city with the most traffic, I swear, I've dealt with, and a lot of traffic. But they turned out, we had like 60 people, and they stayed for like almost 3 hours, and we got great discussions. Wow. And so, yeah, here we are after. It was just wonderful.
Love it.
Yeah, there's autism in Mongolia. There's autism in all these countries like you wouldn't believe. Now, this is on my left, Enki, and I visited her organization. It's for nomadic rangelands and pastoralists, and they're trying to help the herders and these folks. And we're all wearing camel wool.
Okay.
Now, this is, we went to, this is the lieutenant governor of Dorno Gobi, which is East Gobi Desert, a province. So I was honored to meet the governor and the lieutenant governor here. And then she brought her staff in, and they were agriculture, tourism, education, and healthcare. And we all discussed different things concerning not just camel milk, but autism and tourism and all these opportunities that they could have with the natural resource that they have, which is camels. And they, in the health clinic there, they are actually using camel milk for different things, including a study they want to do on jaundice for babies. It seems to be helping jaundice babies there.
Fascinating.
So this is one of the amazing herders I got to spend time with. This is called a ger. It's the same thing as a yurt, kind of. Don't hold me to that, but that's what I'm told. But the ger is what the Mongolian people call it. And I was so lucky to go in and meet many of these folks. And this gentleman was a great host. And so I went inside, and I had all these great products, which maybe we can see.
Okay.
Yep, there you go. So this is a fermented camel milk, plain camel milk. The chunks are camel cheese that they make without, adding enzymes to them, which is really great. And then all these snacks, and sometimes there's horse milk, and then there's milk tea. So this is a dairy and meat, location. They do have some vegetables, but they can't grow them there like the same that we do. Right. So I ate a lot of meat in that country and dairy.
Okay.
Yeah, so here's the camel farm that Solid Partners is working on. So it's very exciting to meet Bactrians. I'm used to dromedaries, which are the one hump, but the Bactrians are super soft, fluffy, sweet, and their wool is used for amazing things. Great camel wool products, which I actually have some sitting right over there. I should show you one on camera. Okay. They're actually super soft and beautiful scarves. But it was great. It was so much fun. Yes, it was cold sometimes, but it was nice other times.
Wow.
And of course, milking one there. There I am out in the middle of the desert, the Gobi, milking camel. So it was a lot of fun, and had a great time. Yeah, there they are, the double humps. The shaggy little face is so cute. They're very sweet. They're a little shyer than dromedary camels, the one humps. So it was very interesting to meet them.
Okay, look at that.
Did a camel trek? Yes, I rode those camels.
Okay.
Yes. Yeah. So this is a place way, way out, 5 hours out in the Mongolian steppes. And it was a huge cliff of sand, and it was amazing. And I met more herder people and all this. And they shot some film on me and stuff. So I think hopefully we'll get some film and pictures at some point to do something with. And I'll put some of them in the Mongolian book.
Very cool. I always wonder, what do they think of you? This woman from America who's showing up and spreading the word about camel milk and autism. What must they think of you? They must think you're awesome.
Well, I don't, I never ask what they think of me or anything, but the welcome I get around the world is just beautiful. And the countries that have camels, they know that they're a good thing, but they often aren't aware of all these uses in the modern day. And, there's information on diabetes type 1 and 2, gut disorders, skin conditions, and all these different things, plus more on, the autism is being published now, because there are science people working on this in Saudi Arabia and other places. So, it's just like news to people, but they treat me beautifully. And I was told a while ago that people like it when they have something and somebody comes from outside and tells them, yes, it's really good. Like they
Yeah.
know it's good, but it feels good to have someone tell them it's good. And I'm there to tell them that. But then also, a lot of people need help. Autism is around the world growing. Autism Collectif Morocco has 90 chapters in Morocco.
Wow.
That's, to me, was staggering. And then Mongolia, they came out and there's more. So everywhere it's, a big thing more than it was. So it kind of brings everybody together. Camel people come, doctors come, everybody comes, and we all have a great time.
That's amazing. So you've got the potential. We hope to see your books translated because that would be amazing. But we're pretty sure that we're going to see Camel Crazy is going to be from Mongolia, correct?
Yeah, we're going to try to publish it next year because 2024 is the International Year of Camelids.
It
For the
is.
UN, the United Nations.
Okay.
So we're going
All
to do
right.
it next year.
And so what's next for you?
Gosh, I don't know. I mean, I've got 2 speaking events in India, but I'm not going. We'll do them remotely next week and then early January. But I've got to start pulling pictures for the cover for the Mongolia edition. I'm going to start doing that tomorrow. And I'm doing a lot here too. I went to a Hollywood gala recently and I spoke, and it was nice to actually be on a red carpet. I knew all the people were like, who is this random woman? Why do we have to talk to her? But then once I actually started talking and stuff, they were very happy. Yeah. So that was kind of fun. And it was fun to be on a program right before Sharon Stone was supposed to be there.
Very
so
cool.
That was kind of fun. Even though everybody's waiting for her, it was fun.
You need a publicist who carries the card with you that says, your name and what you're an expert in and what your books are, so that then they go, oh, before they're talking to you, they go, oh, she knows what she's talking about.
Well, it's a lot of fun.
I'll come be your publicist sometime and hold the sign on the red carpet so that people know that you're awesome. Even before they talk to you. But that will be made clear once they do talk to you. I just love you. Unfortunately, we're out of time, and I could talk to you forever. But I love what you're doing. I love that you're spreading the message around the world. And if anybody has questions, you're like, this resonates with me and I want to know more about the camel milk. I know so many of you are going to write in and say, how much do I give? The thing is, you really need to get the book. It's going to have all the resources about where you get it. Go ahead and hold it up, Christina, the Camel Crazy, if you don't mind.
Oh, yeah.
They can get it on Amazon. They can go to your website. Where should they go?
Okay, you can go to my website, ChristinaAdamsAuthor.com. It's got links, but you can go right to Amazon. It'll have this and a real boy. Also, I am on social media, so please follow me. I like to post different things in different types of social media. Facebook, Christina Adams Author. There's also a Camel Crazy page on Facebook. I'm on Twitter at Christina Think, and I'm on Instagram at Christina Adams Author. So let's follow each other. Let's support each other. That would be wonderful.
And Christina's a real deal. She's this person. I know I've experienced that, and you guys should have the beauty of experiencing that as well. I don't know if you heard me say at the start that Hank is actually here today. I was trying to, but when you were on before, he was in a meeting, so I was trying to get him to come in and say hello to you, but he was on a meeting. But is there any message you would like me to give Hank the rock star?
Well, tell Hank that my son has a really good job now, and he's had other vehicles, but right now I want to get him into a good car. We're going car shopping this weekend. He can drive a boat, he can drive a motor scooter, he can drive a bicycle, he can drive a car. We're going to get him one now of his own. And so everything is so great, and it would be great if they could meet sometime.
That would be awesome. That would be, I of course want to intrude and bring a camera, but I will not, and let them just have that moment, but that would be amazing. I'm so happy to hear he's doing well. Always happy to see you. And I don't want to leave without saying we're very sorry to hear about the passing of your mom and sending you condolences for that. And I know you've had a lot to do with that, but I just can only imagine how proud your mom must have been of you and the work that you're doing, because any mom would be proud to have you as a daughter. So sending you a big hug, and I hope you have happy holidays, and that we can sit together someplace in a cafe and just catch up. Maybe near a camel.
It's at your disposal,
okay.
My friend. At your disposal.
All right.
Okay.
Sending you so much love. Thank you so much for being here.
Okay, let's talk soon.
Okay. Love you. Bye. If you found anything helpful in this video, please give us a like. In fact, make sure that you smash that subscribe button on YouTube and give us a like on Facebook. You can also follow us on Twitter and on Instagram for important updates. And please download our free podcast wherever you get your podcasts. Thank you so much. See you next time.